Hey, what is up, everybody? I'm here to give you another read aloud for the WWE Championship. A look back at the rich history of the WWE Championship, written by Kevin Sullivan, and I'm here to give you a read aloud series of it. But before I do that, let me do a few plugs. If you want to check out my other read aloud series for this book, you can click right up here and check it out. Because I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm only reading chapter by chapter. And I'm really doing this to get myself hyped up for Night of Champions, which is tonight. So I'm obviously not going to finish this book before Night of Champions tonight. However, I still will read this book even because I started it and I figured I might as well finish it. So, if you want to get yourself hyped up for Night of Champions and find another way to do it, you can click down below and check out my Night of Champions review series. I reviewed all of them from 2007 all the way to 2014. And if you want to check out my predictions to Night of Champions and know what I thought about them, you can check out this great series I do on this channel, which you can click right over here to check out. It's called the Massasoit Wrestling Corner. Me and two of my friends, James the Heatman Hebert and Ori Dre, host that show, and it's a lot of fun, and we really do enjoy doing it, so I hope you guys check that out. And if you want to check out other videos on this channel, you can click down below to subscribe. And if you want to check out my two of my other YouTube channels, one is called Owen the Talkinator over here, and it's where I give my thoughts about non-wrestling stuff, so you can check that out over there. And then somewhere on this video you can click and check out my CM Brothers channel, where I talk about both wrestling and non-wrestling things. And then I have my friend James Hebert, who also hosts the Massasoit Wrestling Corner, has two other YouTube channels. One is called James Hebert, where he makes custom Titantrons of professional wrestlers and things like that. That's a pretty fun YouTube channel. And another one's called Weymouth Youth Wrestling, where he's holding a 32-man tournament to crown the first ever WIW champion. And I'm one of those 32 superstars in that tournament. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to win the whole thing and become the brand new WIW champion and the first ever one. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's get to the next chapter. Gotta find it. I believe I'm on chapter 13. I'm on chapter 13, and this chapter is called The Excellence of Execution. With the WWE Championship back around his waist, Ric Flair had visions of a very lengthy reign. 1 month in, however, a freak injury jeopardized those hopes. I was wrestling Ultimate Warrior in Phoenix in October 1992, remembers Flair. Out of nowhere, Warrior dropped me on my head. After a while, I finally got up, but I quickly fell back down again. Then I got up and fell down, over and over. I had no idea what was going on. Turns out I was diagnosed with an inner ear condition that caused me to lose my bearings. I just couldn't work anymore. So that's pretty sad right there. Despite barely being able to balance Flair... No, wait, hold on. Let me finish this. I've screwed up. Despite barely being able to balance himself, Flair agreed to defend his title against Bret Hitman Hart in Saskatoon, Canada on October 12, 1992. At the time, Hart was considered a young veteran, having competed professionally for 16 years, 8 with WWE. Over this time, he had compiled an impressive resume consisting of 2 World Tag Team Championships and 2 Intercontinental Championships. But this was his first true crack at immortality. Ironically, the opportunity took place in a town with which he was quite familiar. So that was pretty cool for Bret Hart right there. Continuing, I had my very first match in Saskatoon, Bret Hart admits nearly 18 years later. I didn't have much of a physique in those days. I remember walking out there to face Flair for my title shot and thinking to myself, this is where it all started. It was special to come back and compete in Saskatoon of all places, especially because it was one of my dad's towns. So that's pretty cool for Bret Hart right there. The Hitman's father was legendary trainer Stu Hart. The elder Hart is credited with helping launch the careers of such greats as the Junkyard Dog, Japanese sensation Jushin Liger, superstar Billy Graham, and the British Bulldog, among others. Hart's wrestling promotion, Stampede Wrestling, also ran shows throughout much of Canada, including Saskatoon. Um, this time around, however, Saskatoon was WWE country, more specifically Bret Hart country. Utilizing his patented sharpshooter, the excellence of execution was able to force Flair into submission and finally realize his dream of becoming WWE champion. Um, which was a pretty cool moment for Bret Hart. Hart's wife, two eldest children, father, and brother Bruce were all in attendance that night, but none of them got to share in the joy with the new title holder. I had really no wait hold on. I had two really bad injuries. I dislocated my finger and rolled my ankle. I actually thought I broke my finger. It was bent sideways. It was shaped like an L. So I celebrated my victory with a trip to the hospital. I was there until about 1:30 a.m. Then I went back to my hotel room and tried to get some sleep. So that's pretty sad, but Hart really didn't get to celebrate his victory, but sometimes that happens. Um, and before I finish, because I'm about to finish this book, here's the match between Bret Hart and Ric Flair. That's pretty cool right there. So let me continue. But yeah, that was a cool moment to have Bret Hart hold the championship. And there's another moment that makes it cool, but the next paragraph is going to explain just that. Bret Hart's victory over Ric Flair ushered in a new generation of sports entertainment. Unlike Hulk Hogan, Hart weighed in at a relatively light 235 pounds. He didn't have much, he didn't have muscle on top of muscle like the champions before him. Instead, the toned down superstar had his superior technical wrestling ability to wow fans. This formula, this no wait, hold on, I screwed up. This new formula for success ultimately proved its worth, but not before some initial growing pains. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Because normally the champions were like guys like Hulk Hogan, like he just talked about, the muscle guys. That's the guys they wanted, and the people that were like the technically sound wrestlers. The belt was the whole was the Intercontinental Championship. That was the belt where they had the best matches for it. That would be the belt that Bret Hart would go for. And there's a lot of superstars that never got to break that ground, but they got to be nice Intercontinental champions. Um, but when Bret Hart won that belt, I bet that just opened a lot of people's eyes. That really, I can just imagine what it made people feel like in the locker room when they got to hold that belt. For guys that were like around Bret Hart's size, because normally guys around Bret Hart's size never got to hold that main championship. They were normally in the mid card. So that must have been a nice eye opener right there. And it was nice for the fans. It was a different type of champion. It wasn't a guy like Hulk Hogan and a big muscle guy. It was a nice technical champion. And I think that's pretty cool. I'm glad they went in a new direction. So that was pretty nice right there. And it must have been nice for Bret Hart too, because Bret Hart probably never thought he was going to hold the WWF title at that time, because of his size, because of Hulk Hogan. But let's continue. I realized that wrestling was going through a transition, admits Hart. Hogan was such a big entity in a lot of ways. I had to fill Hogan's shoes, but he was more of a cartoon character. From a wrestling standpoint, he was just hold on. He was just a phenomenon. No, a phenom. No, a phenomenon. That by the time Hulkamania had played out, I found myself as the champion. That's when the business took a sharp turn. It stopped being about cartoon characters and became more about the actual wrestling. I was the first champion who centered on the wrestling and title matches. As a result, the title suddenly meant something. When Hogan had it, everybody assumed there would be a happy ending every night. but with me as champion, there was a little more uncertainty. When I walked out, most fans thought maybe the title would change hands that night. It gave them more of a chance to be surprised as the results. So like Bret Hart has a point there. About a couple of things. He wanted wrestling to be about the wrestling, the in-win work. He wanted it to be, instead of being the cartoon, he wanted people to look at wrestling as the in-win work of wrestling, and just the technical part of wrestling, the style, if you were able to talk on the mic. So I thought that was pretty cool. And Bret Hart had a point too, because pretty.
You still have money. Can you just order being honest?
Yeah, I will.
All right. Just do that, okay?
Okay.
For yourself.
Okay.
Have enough money yet?
Yeah. Anyhow, but yeah, as I was saying, Bret Hart, so everyone just assumed Hulk Hogan would win. Everybody always knew Hulk Hogan was gonna win, because that's how they were booked. That was his character. That, it was always a happy ending with Hulk Hogan, but it was a little bit more unpredictable when Bret Hart was champion, because he was that underdog WWF champion at that time. So I think that's pretty cool right there. So let's continue. Survivor Series 1992 marked Hart's first major title defense. It was against Shawn Michaels, the same man who would help screw the Hitman out of the WWE Championship 5 years later at the same event, which I will get to that event when it gets further on in the book. The Hitman out of hold on. The Hulk Michaels main event was a far cry from the two masses of humanity, Hogan and Undertaker, who had battled over the title just 1 year prior at Survivor Series. But what the Hitman and HBK lacked in size, they made up for in technical ability, which is true. Because this was the first main event that had technical wrestling in it. Normally it was just about the big guys like Hogan and Undertaker and all that stuff. So that's pretty cool. At first, fans weren't sure what to expect out of Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. There was very little build-up to the match on television, which was very uncommon heading into a major pay-per-view, but fans kept an open mind. Prior to the battle, interviewer Mean Gene Okerlund ran through the list of opponents Bret Hart had successfully defended his WWE Championship against. The Berserker, Virgil, Papa Shanko, the Mountie, and the list continued. Quantity surely could not be questioned. Quality, however, was a much different story. These superstars were far from elite, so when then Intercontinental Champion Michaels confidently strode to the win at Survivor Series, fans began to think Hart might be in some serious trouble, considering he had yet to defend the gold against a truly worthy competitor. And here's Bret Hart, by the way, with the WWF Championship gold. Once the bell rang, Bret Hart quickly pulled all the fans' doubts to rest. He went on the offensive early, utilizing a series of hamlocks and headlocks, moves that were often foreign to WWE Championship matches of the Hogan era. As the match progressed, so did the scientific wrestling, but at a considerably quicker rate. Sunset flips, flying crossbodies, small packages, Russian leg sweeps, Hart and Michaels were executing lightning fast moves, and the fans were eating it up. In the end, it was the Hitman picking up the win with his signature sharpshooter. Bret Hart kissed the championship after the match as Ohio's sold-out Richfield Coliseum showered him with praise. The victory not only solidified the Hitman's reign as legitimate, it also turned WWE's fans onto a new brand of championship matches. Despite all the adulation, however, Hart was still trying to adjust to his new role of champion. That's pretty cool because fans probably didn't expect to see that type of style in a main title match. Normally, they would see that if you were fighting for the Intercontinental title belt. So when they saw that, fans loved it, and I think that's great. Um, and Bret Hart, that's one of the good things. It just brought Bret Hart just brought a different style to that title run, and this was the first. And no one ever thought probably that Survivor Series Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels would main event for the championship. They probably, if you asked them that, they would probably laugh in people's faces. But continuing, it still hadn't sunk in. I couldn't believe it was happening. I couldn't believe it was me. I began to feel a great sense of responsibility to everybody in the dressing room and the company because I felt it was important to be ready every night and be prepared to carry the torch and be the champion. I changed my style. I didn't go out and have beers with other wrestlers anymore, mainly because I felt an obligation to be on the ball every night. I just changed my life. I kind of had to my pinch myself every day, which I think that's pretty cool. Uh, the newly focused Bret Hart used his sharpshooter once again to earn a pay-per-view victory, this time over Razor Ramon at the 1993 Royal Rumble. As Hart celebrated his victory in the back, undefeated newcomer Yokozuna was tossing Randy Savage over the top rope to win the Royal Rumble match. Sorry. Um, the 1993 Rumble marked the first time in history that the winner was granted a WWE Championship opportunity at WrestleMania. As a result of the new stipulation, the 500-pound monster was locked in for the main event at the biggest event of the year, which I think is pretty cool. That doesn't really seem like it'd be a main event match, Bill, between Bret Hart and Yokozuna, but I feel like the match. I don't know if the match would deliver, but I feel like with Bret Hart's technical style and Yokozuna's strong style, sometimes that can happen in matches. Sometimes a guy can be big and the other guy can be technically sound, and they can end up being a good match. Um, Caesar's Palace played host to WrestleMania 9, the first ever outdoor WrestleMania. In keeping with the Caesar's Palace theme, the pay-per-view was dubbed the world's largest toga party, which required the announcers and television crew to wear togas. Ring announcer Howard Finkel even changed his name to Fincus Maximus for the event. That's pretty funny. So they pretty much went with that. Considering Yokozuna's massive size, fans anticipated a very slow and plotted main event, but the contest turned out to be more technical than expected. But I just kind of talked about that already. Yoko was actually an amazing athlete and a very formidable opponent. I always had a pretty good chemistry with him. I was able to bring out the best in him and vice versa. People forgot how young he was. He was just a kid when he was working with me at WrestleMania 9. It doesn't say who said it, but I think it's pretty much Bret Hart who said that. Despite Yokozuna's prowess at WrestleMania 9, he resorted to cheating to accomplish his goal. While Hart and Yokozuna's... Well, no, sorry, Hart. While Hart had Yokozuna's massive leg locked in the sharpshooter, Mr. Fuji had pulled out a bag of salt and tossed it into the champ's eyes. The underhanded tactic temporarily blinded Hart long enough for Yokozuna to cover him for the win. So that's pretty cool for Yokozuna because he was that big dominant monster and they wanted him to hold the WWF Championship. And then here's more. 6 months after defeating Ric Flair in a technical classic to win the WWE Championship, Bret Hart had the title stolen from him by Yokozuna. The loss was especially tough to swallow, considering the Hitman had spent 6 months establishing the entertainment value of technical wrestling. Then, with one handful of salt, it was all gone. When I lost the belt to Yokozuna at WrestleMania 9, that was, believe it or not, the first time I realized I was the champion, claims Hart. When I lost it, that was when I thought it was my belt, and I should have I should have it back. I started to appreciate my position as WWE champion after I lost it. I didn't have the confidence yet during that first reign. I kept thinking I could lose it any day, but when it changed hands, I suddenly realized I was champion of the company. Even When I didn't have the belt for the rest of my run with WWE, it was always my belt. I was at my peak for the rest of my time there. So that's pretty cool. Um, that Bret Hart kind of thinks like that. I think that's pretty cool that Bret Hart does think like that. I really do. That he thinks like that. That he didn't, because I guess maybe he really couldn't believe in himself that he was the champ, because it was just shocking to him during the time frame. But once he lost the belt, I think that's when he realized that he liked having that he missed having it. So let me continue. I defeated Hart slowly began to regain his sight as he made his way out of the ring at Caesar's Palace. Hulk Hogan, who had competed in a tag team match earlier in the event, ran to ringside to help the Hitman find his way to the back. Then Mr. Fuji proceeded to make the most ill-advised managerial decision in the history of sports entertainment. Hogan! Fuji screamed. We will put up the new WWE heavyweight belt in the ring right now. Hogan wasn't reluctant at first, but eventually he accepted the challenge. After Hart gave his blessing, one clothesline and a leg drop later, and the Hulkster was WWE champion for an amazing fifth time. Even more astounding was the bravery of Yokozuna's reign. He only held the title for 2 minutes and 7 seconds. Only Andre the Giant held it for a shorter period of time. And there's Hulk Hogan after he won the championship at WrestleMania 9. I don't agree with that they did that. I understand they wanted to have it be a feel-good moment at the end, but I think Yokozuna should have kept the championship. That kind of made him look weak that he just lost it in 2 minutes. And, because he was supposed to be that monster champion. Nobody really probably looked at him as a monster, really, after Hogan just beat him for it. I think that's the time where Hogan should have even happened. But let's continue. Hogan's fifth WWE Championship reign came close to never happening. A few days prior to WrestleMania 9, the Hulkster went jet skiing with fellow WWE superstar Brutus Beefcake and Baywatch stunt coordinator Alice Edwards, I think is how you say his name. During the excursion, Hogan was tossed from his ski head first. When he brought his head back above water, he noticed another ski coming right at him. His life jacket prevented him from ducking fully back under the water, and the jet ski collided with his face at 40 miles per hour. The impact broke his orbital socket. That's pretty fucked up. Hogan's doctor told him Hogan's doctor told him to not get on a plane, let alone compete at WrestleMania 9. He ignored him. Instead, the Hulk showed up at Caesar's Palace with a huge black eye when fans saw him. Rumors began running rampant regarding the true cause of the injury. The most popular urban myth that still exists today claims Randy Savage knocked Hogan out after learning he had an affair with Elizabeth. It's pretty fucked. You can actually see his black eye kind of right there too. That's pretty fucked up. Yeah. The fifth time around for Hulk Hogan proved to be much less memorable than his previous WWE Championship reigns. By this time, fans wanted more of the Bret Hart style main event matches. Plus, Hart wasn't truly in it anymore. He was more focused on making it big in Hollywood. In his 2002 autobiography, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, he admitted to looking at his new reign as title. No, wait, hold on. Hollywood Hulk Hogan, he admitted to looking at his new reign as little more than a payday. Obviously, not the attitude WWE expected from its champion. I can understand why Hulk Hogan, I guess, felt that way. I think he wanted to do other things in Hollywood, and he was just there for the paycheck. So, yeah, that's not really a good motto to have, but yeah. With a listless Hogan representing WWE as champ, business began to drop. Hart saw the decline in popularity as an opportunity to regain what he believed was rightfully his. I had a feeling that they would see that Hogan that go. No wait, hold on. Let me finish. I think also people didn't like Hogan, like they said, is because because Bret Hart really changed the game up when it came to wrestling with that belt. You know, it became more of a technical style of wrestling. They didn't really want to see Hogan's as champ anymore. They got bored of it. They wanted, you know, he was like more of the old style. They wanted to see more of the style that Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels did at Survivor Series. But let me finish. I had a feeling that they would see that going with Hogan as a mistake, and that I would get my chance to be champion again. I actually got the sense that I would be challenging Hogan at SummerSlam that year, and I figured I probably beat him. But that never happened because Hogan was uncomfortable getting in the ring with me, even though he said he would be happy to do it to my face. I heard too, yeah, um, that Hogan didn't want to do that because he didn't want to put the small guy over, which I thought was weird. I think that would have been cool if they had done Hogan versus Bret. That would be like the old school style of wrestling versus the new school style of wrestling. That would have been pretty cool. I feel like that match would have delivered, and it make a decent amount of money. Probably not the greatest amount of money, but a decent amount of money. So I think they're gonna regret not doing that. Um, and when it comes down to Hulk Hogan, that was just kind of a dick move to say that too. I mean, size shouldn't matter when it comes to professional wrestling. It should be if you're talented or not. That's just how I feel. And then this is another match that WCW now has to say that they did first because they ended up doing it when Bret Hart went over to WCW. Bret Hart versus Hulk Hogan. So stupid. But let's finish. Regardless, Hulk Hogan never made it to SummerSlam. While defending the title against Yokozuna in June at the King of the Ring, the Hulkster was victimized by a mysterious cameraman who climbed the ring apron and shot a fireball into the champ's face. The evil act blinded Hogan long enough for Yokozuna to land his big leg draw to pick up the win and the WWE Championship, which is kind of significant because that was Hulk Hogan's finisher. And there's the match between Hulk Hogan and Yokozuna. There it is right there, and that's the end of this chapter. But that was it. I thought this chapter was fine. I am kind of pissed off that Hulk Hogan wouldn't put over Bret Hart, and I liked to hear about Bret Hart's style of wrestling, and it was pretty cool that a guy like Bret Hart was holding the WWF title at that time, because it was normally the muscly guys, and Bret Hart really brought a different type of style when it came to holding the belt. And I just got to be honest though, Bret Hart as champ, I mean, there was really nobody left. I think this was like that new generation, I know, but that was like one of the worst eras when it came to wrestling. This year isn't the greatest either, but that year really wasn't the best itself, and he wasn't the best on the microphone and stuff like that. But Bret Hart did have a right to hold that title, so I can agree with that. But let me finish off this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll be trying to see if I can upload another one of these today. If not, then I'll see you on the Massasoit Wrestling Corner on Monday.